Alright, welcome back to Europa Universalis 3. We had our revolution events happen last session. We had a big war with Portugal, and we got some provinces back for our Indian bros, and we released a lot of the countries in South America, and I'm going to break. Oh, I don't have it. It's because I have troops there. Okay. So here. So South America is largely in a state that is alright for our for converting, basically. Now I've messed around with the converter a little bit, and yeah, some people have been talking about, well, debating the merits of one type of thing or the other in the comments and such. But we really do need to break up our empire before Victoria. By break up, I don't necessarily mean release a bunch of countries in some kind of bullshit, arbitrary event. But if that's what I have to do, that's what I have to do. Because we are, like, so powerful that no one can oppose us in Victoria. Not even if I made China, because China isn't even one piece. I mean, this is like 5 countries in Victoria when I run the conversion. Japan, even if they were civilized and had buff troops, nothing even comes close to us. Not even Russia, or Bohemia is ridiculous. It's like super Prussia. Well, it's not exactly like Super Prussia, but it's pretty big, and it's kind of scary. Austria is pretty much the same. And the Byzantines are good. I mean, they're basically like a mini Ottoman Empire with some more European land in Italy. But yeah, we are huge, and it ruins some of the fun of playing the game for me if the outcome of the game is a foregone conclusion. The outcome of this game was kind of a foregone conclusion after a certain point, but that was after a lot of tense negotiations with France, and after I inherited England, which was a completely random thing. I had no intention of that happening. So, yeah, this is basically all because of stuff in the game. The great powers ended up being me, obviously, Russia, obviously, Moravia, Bohemia, Moravia, which replaced Prussia, Austria, the Byzantine Empire, I believe Spain, which is Andalusia. During the conversion process, I have to reduce the number of countries, which means Castile and Navarra, for now, become Spain. So Spain is a great power, and Austria owns a bunch of shit all over the place, so it's weird. France, because France is Provence, Aveyron, Foy, all that stuff. They become France. I may change that to make France a minor, but like make France the Netherlands or something like that. Not exactly like that, but like Foy, for example, right now is basically the Netherlands, or like Belgium or something. France, for all intents and purposes, for us, does not exist. I mean, I would say that Provence is probably the strongest of the French things, with possibly Aveyron. Keeping them as France is not necessarily, that's not an issue, because, making Andalusia Spain is... Andalusia could have formed Spain during the game, they just didn't. So them changing to Spain wouldn't necessarily be bad, and I believe Aveyron and Provence can form France, so the name change is inconsequential, even though we kind of consider France this kind of little country that we kicked the crap out of and made a tiny, minor on the coast there. But yeah, Sweden is really strong, but they lack a lot of these provinces, but these provinces are not very good. But because they own a lot of northern Germany, they are extremely strong. And they may actually get some of these provinces back from Russia if weird things happen with revolutions or whatever. But probably not. But weirder things have happened, obviously. Just look at the map. Weirder things have happened. France is usually completely dominant in this game, and through shrewd maneuvering and luck, we have destroyed them. And Fez becomes Morocco, which is fine. I don't really care if there are minor name differences. But I might go through and make things names. Obviously, I just for ease of conversion, I made the Breton Empire stuff, the Breton Empire flags and the Celtic Union flags, just convert to Great Britain, just for ease purposes. But I may or may not do that in the game. I will be changing a couple of things, like Polotsk, for example, converted to Russian Empire rather than being their own country. I want them to be their own country. I'll probably just make them Persia, or just make Persia Polotsk, simply swapping them out, because they're significantly different. Oh, the Ottomans were also flagged as a great power, but that's ridiculous. They are not. I don't know where I was getting it, but it's probably really bugged from the conversion, just like Crusader Kings was, and then the game will normalize after a little while. But obviously a few things that I want to happen are the USA. I want to be in largely the same state it is at the beginning. If, smaller or larger, that would be alright. But I definitely want them to exist as an entity that works on its own. Having this as Great Britain, Great Britain owns this in a normal game. This is nothing compared to this. No offense to anybody who's Canadian out there, but the Canadian land for 19th century purposes is not nearly as good as the United States. So instead of being part of a great power, this is like, with England owning this is like being two great powers. And then I own most of Colombia. I own the entire thing of Cuba. I own, islands. And the entire North African and East African coast. Well, except for here, I don't own this, but yeah, the Knights become part of the Papal State, which is fine. And the game does a bit of, condensing of countries. There's still a lot of countries in Europe, but all this becomes France. All this becomes Austria. I think the Italian states stay the same. North German states are still pretty fractured, but most of them are owned by Sweden, so it doesn't really matter. But they've been, revolting and breaking off since the war with Russia, so it's not that big of a deal. I might take a few of the stupid outliers and switch them out if I need to, just for, purposes of making the game more balanced. The Golden Horde is not a thing, so it makes them the Khanate of the Crimea, which also shouldn't be a thing, but whatever. But, that's fine. I may make them convert into Russia, because there's no reason why Russia shouldn't have killed them by now, but they haven't. They may finish the job before the end of the game, so that would be fine. Yes. Southeast Asia and China. China is completely fractured, and it looks like it's going to get worse before it gets better. That will probably equalize itself because of the core situation. This Japan thing is ridiculous, but since the game actually goes to 1936, this is flagged as Manchukuo when I convert it, because 1936 is well within the time frame of the start of World War II in the East, or the Sino-Japanese War. So I'll have to change that so that either it's flagged as Japan or flagged as part of China. I'm not sure what I'll do yet. But we do have 50 years to go, so I'm not going to get too ahead of myself with plans, but rest assured to those who think that I'm just going to be disbalanced and ruffle stomp everyone, that I will be doing something about that. Oh, and I'll probably end up taking this because the game doesn't take this into account, so I will just take it anyway because this isn't a thing. This province either is part of one of these provinces or the converter just doesn't care, and this isn't a thing, so I'll probably just end up taking that. And to those who want me to keep my empire the same size, I don't really understand the problem with breaking it up to the extent of having an interesting game. I do understand that I've done a lot of work to get all of this, but I'm the first one who wants to do it, so it's not necessarily that it matters that we have the largest empire possible. I want the game to be interesting. I don't want the game to be, you know, just this giant. And that's why I stopped expanding, for example. And I didn't want to stop expanding and make the game really boring for the last 200 years of the game. So, and I'm not completely reversing time. Like, for example, when I converted it anyway, a lot of these provinces I don't own. Like, I have South Africa normally, and then, like, this, I don't own this. The entire coast is just this tiny strip. And then I'm not supposed to own this, so I will probably, because, I mean, this is like a friggin' wasteland. I mean, there's only got 4,000 people, and this one has like 75,000, so, I mean, this province here, this is useless. I only got it to make my borders look pretty, so, you know, I don't want to, I can't please everyone in this situation, so I'm going to pick the thing that makes the game the most interesting. And I feel as though, I mean, it's the same reason I broke off Byzantium, and I don't think anybody can fault me for breaking Byzantium off. Number one, that would be just a giant clusterfuck of revolts the entire game, which may have been more interesting and they may have broken off on their own, but I kind of wanted to maintain my relations with Byzantium, and yeah, that was probably a bit gamey, what I did, but it's the same thing with the England thing, that I probably shouldn't have gotten myself into the situation with the royal marriages and stuff, if I didn't want that to happen. So I'm going to reorganize all of my troops. I am going to find my navy, and then there we go. Get everyone back to where they're supposed to be, and make sure I have everything I need in place. And I'm going to run the game as much as I can today before I gotta get tired of it and stop. But I'll try to finish a significant chunk of the game. Really, I'm just kind of coasting at this point like I did at the end of Crusader Kings, because I've pretty much achieved all of my goals. I don't want to go any further with expansion if I'm, you know, trying to find a good medium between being powerful and being overpowerful, so to speak. And I need to basically make it so that it's not just a runaway game by me. Right now, actually, Canada is really interesting when I do the conversion. This obviously converts to France, and Portugal owns this, and then I own this. But when I did it before, I forgot to set some of the flags. So the USA was actually independent, and all I owned of North America was this, and yeah, Portugal owned this. So that was actually kind of interesting. I kind of like that. And then Portugal, since they own this, and the Aztecs and the Zapotecs actually convert to Mexico. So, which is fine. I mean, it's just a name change. They're Catholic already, and Zapotec or English culture. And they've been They've been doing some settlement policies, it looks like, or the what are they called? Portuguese never finished switching them. But in any case, the game, most importantly, has to be interesting and playable, and there has to be some kind of medium between my power and my potential for playability. So I'm gonna stop rambling about that and just get what I need to do done, and I will be back when I find something else to do. Okay, we've got a core on Apache, so getting more and more stuff here. I'm getting some revolts because of that. I'm basically killing the separatists and letting the ones that can produce cores for a country do that. For example, these are Louisianan separatists, but there's already a core here, so I'm just gonna kill the guys, because they'll probably just move to another province that has the Louisiana separatists on it already. So I just kind of want to make it bigger. Louisiana just converts to USA. I haven't done anything with the southern states yet, but the Creek also convert to the USA, I believe. So I can basically get rid of this whole thing if I need to. And I don't think I can release Mexico. I think I checked last time. How do I do that? Release create vessels. Yeah. Oh, and somebody recommended that I get rid of Brittany. Or not Brittany, but England. Release them. Well, obviously I can't release them. They will get 2 provinces, but I can mod the converter to make it so that we convert to something else and England converts to something. Yeah, so I can do that. But I haven't really decided what I'm going to do. But I don't really have anybody. Louisiana has 7 provinces. U.S. has 18. Shawnee, Creek, Huron, and I think Mexico's on here. So who is the one that can release Mexico? I don't know. I may just have to make it so that they get released on their own. Portugal is at war with a bunch of people. Sweden, Danzig, Salzburg, Navarra, Provence, Australia, and the Papal States, which means they might lose the rest of their American stuff being at war with the Papal States here. Navarra can reach a lot of their stuff from here and their islands. Navarra's got a province here, but they don't have any troops here, so yeah. But we'll see about that. Right now, for example, they are getting killed, and Austria too, by Navarra here, so yeah. Portugal may not even exist when we come into the new game. Up to my old tricks again, causing revolts. And it's good because it's Central American separatists. I think I killed all of Portugal's troops up here, so it might be worth it to do revolts here. What's their revolt risk? Colonial, so that'll make Mexican guys. There we go. Yep. We'll see how that turns out. And I will probably use most of my spies on it. Doing it in Canada is not really, it doesn't really help, because there's a bunch of Avarungese peasants, and there's a ton of troops like walking around up here. But they're at war with a bunch of people, and invading Venezuela. That's interesting. Venezuela is probably going to get pwned because Avarung is like France. So we'll see. Interesting to look at, though. I think I got most of. Yeah, I've got my troops out of Portugal now, and I think I just have to, work with my troops here in South America. and I can go. One thing that I've wondered is I don't think that these guys should be at land and tech and naval tech 0. I might have to. Well, that's not going to really matter come Victoria, but I think there was something bugged with them. I'm not sure. But that might mean that whoever these come into, I might have to make uncivilized for, I guess, purposes of making it seem like there's a lot of realistic conversions going on, since they never really were quote-unquote civilized. And these are even these are even pagan religion still. So in Mexico, probably, even though they have the same thing, I'm pretty sure it's a bug. The Inca have largely stayed the same, and they were never conquered for long enough to actually, like, quote-unquote civilize them, so we'll have to see. I'm going to stop talking about the conversion until the game is done. So, alright, we got a Cora on Pima, which is another one of these. I'm having a bunch of revolts here, but sadly they're just particularists. I was hoping they would be Mexico, but I guess it's too far north for this to consider it Mexico, which is odd, because at this point in history, this was Mexico. Unfortunately, that is not the case, so, whatever. I guess we'll just have to make do with what we can make happen. Here's a good one, though. Canadian separatists here. I'll let that one go. That's cool. These are Avarung peasants. I don't know why they just seem to get away every time they... I don't know. Colonial Assembly. Many honored and influential representatives from several of our colonies afflicted by Lucas II's new policies have assembled in Bayugula. We should take appropriate measures to stop them before they find a common cause and manage to return all our colonies against us. We can attempt to find a diplomatic solution, which means we get diplomatic negotiation until the end of the game, giving minus 25% overseas income and minus 25% global tariffs. Or, the days of diplomacy are over. Lose one stability. Bayugula gains diplomatic colonial tensions till the end of the game, which has 15% local revolt risk. We're doing that because it's awesome. So, yeah. This is basically the kind of thing I've been looking to trigger the whole game. Well, not the whole game, but like the later part of the game. So, yeah, good stuff. This is happening just as I want it to. Yeah, the Nationalist Rebel Uprising over here. And I got one of those thing for up here in Scotland, but oddly enough, it's Norwegian patriots. And you're actually Norwegian culture, so I decided it would be more interesting if I did the thing instead of having them be loyalists. So, and we have become the papal controller, so that's good. I haven't been investing in my stability because I don't know why, but I haven't been investing in my stability, so this will help a bit. Oh, the Papal States is annexed Tuscany. That's cool. Oh, these guys might actually, they might actually break this loose, except for Panama, which doesn't count. So I might just put some troops in Panama and see what these separatists do here. The P is for provinces. So, yeah, and this technically goes all the way up to here with stuff. So, yeah, I think the Zapotecs can deal with that, but if they can't, then that would be interesting as well. I was going to do another spy, and he failed. I failed twice in a row at like 95, 96%. I think that was 94. But, yeah, that's kind of bullshit, but whatever. I've been getting good odds on other stuff, so whatever, I'm not going to complain. A new Founding Father event, that's good. Can't do any harm. And I beat more Particulars Rebels. Particulars Rebels kind of suck, because they don't do anything. I don't even... Yeah. Okay, here's another interesting one, because I don't think this one actually is part of Louisiana, and these are Louisianan separatists. I'm just going to kind of let them go and see what they do. They might produce some cores around here for Louisiana. We'll see about that. I've also got these guys here, as I expected, so we'll see what they do. And I had some troops here that I was intending to put into Panama to prevent them from going too far, but yeah, it's things are revolting in a good way. Okay, we have completed a quest. University in Connecticut. So there. A Fine Arts Academy in Suakin. I think I'm just going to stop doing these. There's not really any point in building that kind of stuff at this point in the game. But I don't really want to lose prestige for canceling them, so I may just stop doing missions. The only kind of missions that would be like... I don't know, I don't have my maximum army or navy. And... yeah. Diplomatic Skill 9 King is probably the best one we've ever had. I had a shitty string of kings though, so. Yeah, 1776 right now, so. Just dealing with internal stuff. I've had a couple of revolts on islands, which are annoying, but you know, simple to deal with because they can't really go anywhere, and they're just particularists, so they're not doing anything. So, unfortunately, they're not helping with any of my problems. Although I did have one up here, but it was a colonial governor, but it's still particularists, so you know, whatever. So I'm just gonna kill it like I've killed all the other ones, because it's just an annoying thing that prevents real rebels from spawning and stuff. So, yeah, but Miniomi is pretty much finished with its siege, and then we can kind of see what they do after that. Pretty much any of the places they get from us, we'll get a core for Canada. So I'm not opposed to Canada having some cores in what would normally be the United States. It doesn't matter to me. And I would like to see them get some of this stuff to have more normal borders, but that's alright. So I'll kind of let them be, but they probably will just go into Michigan and start fucking around with that, or maybe they'll go up here. But we'll see how that turns out. Oh, and the Mexican separatists have started moving around. I think Portugal got peace with Austria, and Navarra got Galicia, but they're still at war with Sweden and Danzig. I'm not sure what Sweden and Danzig are doing. It looks like Austria, the Netherlands, is taking some stuff from Austria. Yeah. Papal States is pretty big in Spain. Italy now. And Rome is Catholic again, so that's cool. But hilariously enough, the Papal States do not have a core here because they switched it. They switched the culture. So yeah, normalcy for Rome, I guess. We get Government Tech 53, which does nothing, and we don't get another one until 61. So whatever. Do I have any? No, I don't. Can I give up? No. Huh. Oh, that removes colonial tensions. Well, I don't want to do that. I lose some prestige. I don't care about losing prestige that much. Those, though, are bullshit. I guess that's what they're for, just so you lose centralization. Okay, here is the Colonial Assembly event for Narragansett, so the USA. Again, we'll do that. And Canadian separatists have Canadian separatized Mini-Omi. Mini-Mini. I don't know. It's the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. And apparently I'm losing money, but not fast enough for me to care. Alright. Again, another colonial assembly event. I'm just gonna start losing stability like crazy. Hey. But that's the name of the game here, I guess. So, yeah. Just gotta deal with it. And again, basically I'm just gonna be losing stability until I have 0 stability. Which actually is kind of fine with me. You know, whatever. That'll cause a bunch of revolts and stuff, and I'll just have to pull back my troops just like a normal thing. Or I could do this, but that gets me the diplomatic negotiation thing, which I kind of don't want. But if things get too bad, I'll eventually have to do that. But, you know, fuck those guys. A Patriot level rebel uprising. Oh, it's just those guys. Whatever. Useless crap. And let's just compound things. Byzantium is declaring war on Polotsk. I think our super attack dog can deal with this, though, considering the kind of numbers we're looking at.